All right, we back. Certain Sports checking in, man. What's going on today, fellas, ladies? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, socials. Everybody out there, man, checking in. So today we got 2024 outlook for the Falcons defense, man. We getting into the defensive side of the ball today. See what they got going on for the 2024 season. So, um, one of the first things that jumped out at me when I went to do a little research earlier, I kind of touched on this yesterday that the defense was definitely a bend but don't break kind of group. Um, and one of the stats that stuck out to me was that the defense was 11th in total yards in the league last year, but 23rd in points given up. Right, so that just tells you everything you need to know pretty much. They gave up too many points. They got stops, but again, let people in the end zone. And then a lot of the times you had, bad field position from turnovers, things of that nature happen too, also, right? But at the end of the day, okay, we're gonna need to be a little better this season. I think, right? Definitely gotta get more turnovers. I think, when you look at Jesse Bates leading the team in tackles, that's just one of those stats that just can't happen. I just think it's a bad sign for your defense in general. I miss those days when Foye Oluokun was here, right? Like, 100 plus tackle kind of guy. I think that's, what you need. I think he led the team with like 89 last year. So, again, that's just, like I said, your safety's leading the team in tackles. That means too many people are getting into that second level of the defense. On top of the fact that your linebackers aren't getting enough tackles, right? So I think that's a stat that definitely has to change next year. I just heard John Fricky talking about that on the radio earlier today about how, I don't think this linebacker core is as good as we think it is. This boy is grabbing more cookies. Yeah, I saw that. Um, yeah, so I think we may need some help at that linebacker position. I don't know, what Terry's gonna do. Maybe he'll make a move there. Maybe he won't. Like I said, I kind of said this when the draft came around that nobody really knows what's on the front office mind at this point in time. Hell, the front office doesn't know what these guys are going to do on the field at this point in time. They know their gut instinct. They've seen the tape. They've talked to these people. They've done their due diligence, and that's about all they can do until they get on the field, right? So, there's not much to go off of, I would say, in that aspect of it, right? Like, you know, you just kind of got to see, man. You got to see what happens when you put it on the field, right? So you bring in a couple rookies, like Brandon Dorless from Oregon, and then you got what's my other guy's name? Oh, and then you got Braylon Trice, or Braylon Trice from Oregon. Oh, Braylon Trice is from Washington. Excuse me. So you got Braylon Trice from Washington and Brandon Dorless from Oregon. So those are two guys that I think they kind of look at to help that pass rush. From what I saw on tape, they were two pretty good pass rushing guys. I know Dorless is a defensive tackle, but he's a guy that has good pass rush moves for a defensive tackle. And then like I said with Kaido, also that's another super toss up as well, right? You never know what you're gonna get out of a player like that who you're looking for upside from for the most part, as opposed to what you've seen on film in college. You're taking some of that, but the vast majority of where you took him from is based on the upside of the physical, athletic gifts, things of that nature. So we'll definitely see with that front seven, man. It's definitely going to be a focal point. I see they did improve with the sacks and getting to the quarterback last year. They had 40 sacks last year after having 18 in 2021 and then 21 in 2022. They did improve in that area, but the two sack leaders on the defense in Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree are both gone. So they're going to have to, replace that production. And then, like I said, at the same time, overall, as a defense, try to get better, try to get, 45, 50 sacks this year, Definitely going to have to try to improve on that sack number while kind of, I think, covering up for kind of weak secondary outside of Jesse Bates. You got A.J. Terrell, obviously, is a good cornerback. I really like Kevin King. I like the Kevin King pickup as a as an ex-cheesehead, I know about Kevin King a little bit. Finally got a UGA guy out here from my Georgia fans out here. So they'll be okay on the outside, and then with Jessie Bates. So they're gonna have to kind of cut that slack for those slot corners. For whoever's at that strong safety position, more than likely it's going to be somebody that's kind of a weak spot for the defense. So they're kind of going to have to pick up slack there. I think those three guys are in the secondary. But other than that, man, I don't think that much has changed with this defense, so to speak. Other than Calais Campbell leaving, Bud Dupree leaving. You're kind of just looking for guys to step up in those roles, right? You're kind of just, you got second-year guys like Ebiketie. You got guys coming into the system, Troy Anderson, Caden Ellis, right? These are the kind of guys that, as a franchise, you look for to step up at this point in their career, second, third year. And if not, you got to kind of go back to the drawing board at this point, defensively, I would say. You kind of got the offense, pretty sold up at this point. You got Penix for years on end. So I think you're kind of set on offense, right? So now we got to the ball is kind of in the defense's court this season, I think, right? You kind of see, who you got, right? You got Jessie Bates. I think you got AJ Terrell. Other than that, man, it's kind of like, who else is out here to step up for this defense? And I think that's one of the bigger questions going into 2024 is going to be, who is that playmaker, especially within that front seven. We obviously know that Jessie Bates is a playmaker, led the team in tackles, led the team in picks, made pretty much every play that there was to make on that defense last year. So who's going to be that guy within that front seven, right? I think that's one of the bigger questions leading into the 2024 season, man. So we'll see, again, they're going to have, less pressure on their shoulders with Kirk Cousins coming in. I don't think that he'll put them in as bad of situations as they were put in last year with Desmond Ridder, for sure. A lot less bad field position. So, we'll see. At the end of the day, like I said, you just got to get on the field and play the game, right? So, on paper, everything looks kosher, right? They look pretty much about the same. Like I say, run-of-the-mill, kind of about 15th, 14th rank where they were last year, right? 11 last year. I think 15th in total defense, though, overall defense, they were around 15. So, if they can stay in that middle of the pack, maybe creep into that top 10, I think we'll be talking about, a deep playoff run, depending on what goes on the other side of the ball, obviously. I think we're looking at a pretty good season as long as we can play solid defense. Like I said, keep the turnovers down. And, injuries, things of that nature, they happen, right? But, again, we'll see, man. So, I got high expectations. Like I told you guys yesterday, I'll take the over on that 9.5 wins, right? I definitely think that's doable for this team. And again, we'll see moving forward. So, rest of this week, man, we'll start getting into some more specific players. I think I'm going to start with my guy number 8 tomorrow. Okay, so we'll get into Kyle Pitts tomorrow, talk about, what he does well, what he doesn't do well, what he needs to do better to get a contract extension. This is kind of what it is at this point, right? That's where he's at now. So we'll talk about Kyle Pitts tomorrow, man. I'll check in with y'all. Surgeon Sports, we go. Surgeon Sports Network.